Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. This is the last part of this sort of OP2 release season kind of thing. This is going to be my full-on tier list for all the leaders in the game. In many ways this will be a meta-analysis, but it's not really, because I think there is a lot to talk about in a Set 2 meta-analysis. If you're interested in seeing something like that early, before the Championship Series events, please do check out my Patreon, linked in the description. I'm going to be putting that sort of content up there early, exclusively for my patrons. If you can wait until this initial season is over, then obviously just subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified when it does come out for the general viewer like yourself, and I appreciate your support regardless. But if you do want to see it early, and if you do have the means, I think it's a fairly nominal fee for what you are getting, please do check that Patreon out. Okay, enough shelling, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, I'm going to start off with the starter deck leaders. I think that makes the most sense. So, this is going to be in the context of the OP2 card pool. I'm going to try not to think about OP3. I'm going to try and keep it as OP2 focused as I can. And with the starter decks, I'm going to go in reverse order, because I think the first two are really, really easy. We can put these both in the D tier. These are both completely useless, I think. So, okay, Sakazuki, I'll put it in C. I think Sakazuki is noticeably better than what we will be seeing in D tier. But, okay, so the problem with Sakazuki is it costs 3, and you have to lose a card to pop a 0 cost. Like, you have to put a lot of effort into making your leader effect actually do anything. Now, the advantage is you are actually getting a 5 life black leader, and we all know how important having 5 life is. There is like one good dual color leader per set. That's it. One competitively viable one that could potentially see some success, and the rest are just not playable. They are not doing enough. So that is, of course, one of the problems. But Sakazuki, it's, you know, having that 5 life, the leader effect, it's basically a vanilla leader. At most once a game you're doing that effect. It's really not very good, but it is black, and it does have that plus. Shanks, on the other hand, there's no defense at all. The film cards are nowhere near good enough to build around, and even if they were, like, the fact that, I mean, you're so vulnerable to board removal, and like your leader effect is doing nothing if you're not able to, like, basically, if you want to play Shanks, play Moby Dick Whitebeard, I guess is my point here, right? Moby Dick Whitebeard basically does what Shanks is trying to do, but it does it so much better. Yeah, Shanks is just not good at all. While we're at it, down here, I think I'm going to put Blue Croc. I've got to put Blue Croc in D tier, and this is less because Blue Croc is a bad leader, certainly above Shanks. It's a combination of Blue Croc being a really fine leader effect, but also Blue just getting nothing for that strategy. Like, Doffy at least got something. Eva at least is decent, but Blue Croc has nothing going for it in Set 2. It's just suffering. Like, you're just trying to play, like, value blue good stuff, and that's not gonna really allow you to see a large amount of success in the OP2 metagame, unfortunately. Definitely is potential if we get some really solid like Baroque works restricted trait support, like we see for the East Blue stuff in Set 3. Those East Blue leader effects are not good, but, well, Kuro's is not good, but man, those cards are so strong that, like, it actually turns out the deck is pretty good. If we saw something like that for this card in the future, I think it'll be better, but right now, I really can't rate it above D tier. Sakazuki at least has the advantage of black doing stuff. The remaining 3 leaders are certainly better. Luffy, I think, has to go in the C tier. It's C or B. I'm going to put it in C just because the problem is Luffy, for the very same reasons that Luffy was better in the OP1 metagame than Zoro, which for some reason still took people until the Treasure Cups being over to actually figure out. All I'm saying is I was saying that from like a while ago. Even for all those reasons, you know, those reasons are kind of the exact same reasons it's bad in OP2. Zoro gets so much early aggression that there's no reason to try and play this more mid-rangey, longer game with Luffy. 8-cost Kid is not running the metagame anymore. We have much bigger threats to worry about than 8-cost Kid. We don't care about it anymore. So being able to build like slightly bigger kind of doesn't matter. Yeah, overall, I just think Red Luffy suffers from a card pool and meta hit rather than anything else. And that's why it's in C tier. I think there's a... I'm going to put it in B. You know what? I'm going to put it in B. I think as a leader effect, it is still really good, and I think putting it in C kind of... yeah, it just feels a bit wrong. it's definitely a lot better than Sakazuki, and obviously blue suffering so hard for the card pool here. Like, you can literally only play one of 2 decks, and this is just bad. Okay, Kid and Kaido, I think we can do together. These are both still really, really strong in OP2. I think we can slap these both in AT. I think Kaido is better than Kid in this. Kaido has so many strong cards in the OP2 metagame. Of course, it's not like it got many new ones, but it got searchable, powerful defensive tools. And it just got that consistency boost that it really, really needed. Kid has, like, basically 1 new card, and it's still really good, because that's just how high value the green card pool was in set 1. So, like, overall, these are still just very, very good. It's kind of up in the... I'm putting Kid below Kaido, because, spoiler alert, I'm going to be putting Kinemon up in the S tier. But, yeah, I think... yeah, these are both very, very powerful leaders, very much up there. I think your A and S tiers are going to be your competitively viable ones. Like, these, you can actually take these to events and see some success. Right, now that the starter decks are done, we can move on to the main sets, and we'll start off with OP1, and I think I'm just going to blitz through a couple of just really unplayable ones. So, King, absolutely the bottom of D tier, it absolutely has to be. In fact, while we're at it, let's put Magellan at the actual bottom. Let's just put all the purple leaders down there, that's where they belong. Uta, of course, I'm going to put above them just because it's funny. That's, sorry, the Premier Leader. Blurple Croc, yeah, it has to be down there. Blurple Kaido, I think I can put in C. So basically everything in D tier, it's just not doing anything. The best you can do with Blurple Croc is like this impel down, like janky, like kind of thing. It doesn't do anything. It just doesn't do anything, which sucks so bad because this is such a cool leader effect, but it just doesn't do anything. Blurple Kaido at least has the thing going for it of like, well, it's an Animal Kingdom trait, so you have all that going for it. You have the extended blue and purple card pool where there are good cards you can play, but they're just really anti-synergistic. It's better than Blurple Croc, and I feel like we can't put any more things in D tier. It's just getting ridiculous. But yeah, I just think this is very, very fine. It's not doing anything special. You know, and again, Rush is really big in this format, and Kaido is weak to Rush, but at least, like, yeah, 5 life. Is you 4? You're doing fuck all, man. You're doing nothing. Speaking of set 1 leaders, let's do Doffy. I think Doffy is a strong B tier candidate. This card got a few nice new pieces moving into set 2. Nothing really crazy, and not really enough to make it stay kind of outside of where it was in that kind of bottom of the barrel of competitively viable decks, which I think is basically what B tier is, right? Like, you could take it to an event, you might see some success. I wouldn't bet on it, I wouldn't take it myself, but as we saw in the Treasure Cup season, if you are lucky with your matchups, you absolutely can win with it, and I think the same is true here. And certainly, because blue kind of falls off a little bit, and it's not been doing much in Japan, you may have that advantage as a rogue pick. Next, let's put Zoro. Let's put Zoro in S tier where he belongs. Zoro is such a glow up into the set. Of course, we knew this was a very easy to play, easy to pilot, and sort of value-focused deck, and the fact that you just got this whole suite of amazing options, your Curly Dodans, your Makinos, your the other guy, the Sunnykins and all that sort of stuff, it all comes together to make a horrendously powerful deck. Yeah, this is absolutely deserving of being our first deck up in S tier. Speaking of S tier, let's go ahead and chuck Lore up there. Lore absolutely doing bits as usual. This deck is phenomenal. Of course, the risk you run with Lore is that variance risk and the risk of getting blown out. And with how prevalent Zoro is, that can be quite scary. But I mean, you know, Zoro, Lore just does bits. It just does bits. It's just really, really, really good. Odin is an interesting one. I've been told by some reliable sources that Odin was very slept on in set 2, and I've seen some stuff that kind of supports that claim, but I also think if I'm staring at Odin, I'm always asking the question, okay, why am I not playing Kid and why am I not playing Kinemon? And I just think Kid and Kinemon do more with their leader effects. So I'm going to put Odin in solid B tier, and B tier means you can take this to a tournament. I wouldn't expect to win, but I'd expect to do potentially quite decently. And I think that is a solid place for Odin. Red Green Luffy, I think this has to go in the in C tier. Again, you're just in this position where you're asking, what am I really doing here, right? Now, granted, you get some really nice new options for Red, but again, the deck is just not doing anything particularly special. Like, you have your whole aggro thing, and yes, starter deck lore is absolutely incredible in this deck, and you're able to have this remarkable aggression, but again, compared to Zoro, you're not doing the same thing Zoro is doing. Like, you are not having that level of aggression, and if decks can handle Zoro's level of aggression, they can handle Red Green Luffy's level of aggression. So that, I think, is a real problem. So that is all of set 1. Now we move on to set 2. So let's start off with our first S tier in set 2, and that's got to be Whitebeard. I do think Whitebeard is better than Zoro because there are two very viable builds of it. And I think that's a really defining trait. The fact that if you queue up against a Whitebeard, you actually don't know which build it is until you are a few turns into the game, and you actually have to play it against them quite differently, which can be quite challenging. But yeah, Whitebeard, incredibly strong. Took the Japanese player base a little bit of a while to figure out how to make it good, but when they did, oh man, it is good. This deck runs shit. Certainly going to set 3 as well, incredibly viable. But yeah, this is one of the top dogs in the format. Absolutely dominating, very, very, very powerful. While we're talking about dominating, let's put the king in his castle. Kinemon, occupying unbelievable slices of the representation pie. When you see this guy, that rhymed, so good. Being able to just cheat out your stuff for cheap, having access to Green's incredibly high value card pool, and you look at the stuff that Yamato and Odin are so good. Yeah, Kinemon, just incredibly strong card, and yeah, knocked out of the park with just how powerful it is. Let's finish up some of the lower tiers. I think I'm going to put Garp down in C tier here. It's just very mid C tier. It's not really doing anything special. It's much more of a pet deck than a good deck. And it's certainly fun and a great ult art, but like, you know, you're not really getting a huge amount of value out of having access to red, or of red having access to black, and the leader ability is kind of weird, and the colors are anti-synergistic, so it's just a little bit awkward. Sanji, again, I think having to go here in the... I think it goes in B tier. I think Sanji is like the worst deck you could take to a tournament and do decently with. Maybe that's... I'm going to put Sakazuki here. I think this is fair. I think Sakazuki is the gatekeeper of what you could take to a tournament and do okay with. And that's just, you know, black being pretty decent overall. No, you know what, I'm lying. Top C. That is the ranking. And yeah, this is the actual gatekeeper of something you could maybe see some success with. Smoker, I think I'm going to put at the... I think I have to put it in A tier because it really... No, top of B. I think the problem with Smoker is it just has a couple of really abysmal matchups. And it's not like black... Like the leader effect is not very good. It's not like, you know, if it was like Kid's leader effect and just mono black, I'd be like, damn, this is crazy. But like, it's a leader effect that's really awkward to use sometimes. And the black card pool, like, it has some really glaringly obvious holes, and yes, if you just see Admiral after Admiral after Admiral on curve, you're gonna win, but spoiler alert, any black deck is gonna do that if you just see your power cards turn off. So I don't think you can really rely on that. I definitely think Smoker is powerful though. Like, you can do well in a tournament, and this has won events in Japan. This has done very well in the flagships, this has done very well in the championship series, so certainly it's not a bad deck, and it's an important part of the meta. Everything, I think, in this tier, you know what, I'm gonna put Luffy down in the top of C, and Odin down there. I just think that makes more sense. But pretty much everything in B and up, like, you can actually see some success with. Eva has got to go up in A, better than Kid, I think. Eva is really, really, really good. The problem with Eva is, of course, like, it did very well at the start. Players learned how to counter it, players learned how to play against it, and it really started falling off. And, of course, a major problem with it is, as it is a deck that is very heavily reliant on, like, top decks because of the nature of what it is, right? You're flooding out your whole hand, and then you're drawing new, and yes, you're getting value, but... you know, how much value can you really get when you're trying to defend a turn with 2 cards in hand? And, like, if you get an Eva player down to, like, 1 life, they're probably dead. They're not going to have the hand to deal with that. So, it's just one of those ones where, like, once you have got them into that bad position, they're kind of screwed. Yeah, if you can manage that, like, Eva Luffy turn, it's kind of the whole thing. They're not really going to be able to do that again unless they're hitting the amazing top decks. And of course, you know, any deck hitting amazing top decks is going to do well. So yeah, I just think Eva, it's one of those things where it's powerful, but it's definitely not like busted or anything. And finally, Zed. I'm going to put Zed up in A. I think Zed is good. I think Zed is really, really good. Japan, it took them basically till the end of OP2 for a few players to see the potential in Zed, understand why it was actually really good in the meta, and see success with it. And it's a really fun deck, but it's one of those ones where you're just going to have matchups and you're just going to be sad. It's definitely, you know, as you can see, it's one of two 2 life leaders in this top sort of section, and unlike Law, which has, if it sees its, you know, early game, it has consistency out the arse once it gets going, Zed doesn't have consistency out the arse. You have to draw your power cards, and if you draw your power cards, you're beating basically everything in the game, but if you don't draw your power cards, you're losing to basically everything in the game. That being said, you are, of course, drawing them more likely than you're not, but still, it's just one of those awkward ones. I think it is a very viable leader to be sure, and I think this is my matchup. This is my matchup. This is my ranking. I'm gonna put. I'm gonna change these names, as this is gonna be top of the meta. This is gonna be very viable. This is gonna be could win, unlikely. C is gonna be I wouldn't, but actually we'll make this pet deck tier. Pet deck. And we will make D tier God. And there we go. That is my ranking of all of the leaders in the OP02 metagame. What do you guys think? Did you find this video helpful? Do you think I'm chatting out of my arse and I have no idea what I'm talking about? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As I said, if you want to see stuff like this early on Patreon, because my patrons have had access for ages and they've been able to take advantage of that knowledge, please do check out that Patreon linked in the description. You can expect all sorts of amazing in-depth analyses, much more in-depth than this. You can check out the first video I put on there, which was the 50-minute guide to Kid, which was a lot of effort and a lot of playtesting results, and you can expect to see similar quality of things for the OP2 metagame. Now that this initial impression phase is gone, we can move forward into that sort of stuff, in-depth deck profiles and match analyses. If you cannot support me on Patreon, of course, I understand. I appreciate it if you just like this video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content, and of course, see me in the next video. Cheers.